Today we'll talk about a brief geography of time. Yes, time depends upon geography. If you have heard about the longitudinal lines, then you know that there is a 0 degree longitudinal line which divides the globe into the eastern hemisphere and the western hemisphere. So with every 15-degree change, you lose or gain an hour depending upon whether you're moving towards the east or towards the west from the 0 degree prime meridian, 0 degree longitudinal line. But this is not strictly followed. You would assume that because it is based on the longitudinal lines, every country, depending upon their east to west width, would have different time zones, but that is not always the case. Even many wide countries have chosen to follow a single time zone for purposes of following a single time zone, keeping all of the citizens on the same time, maybe for national unification purposes. I don't really know, but that is the case. So we will look at the 10 largest countries in the world in terms of land area. We will look at how many time zones are there in each of these countries, and at the end of the video we will also talk about the country which has the maximum number of time zones, and strangely this country does not feature on the list of the 10 largest countries in the world in terms of land area. We will also tell you why this country, despite not existing on the top 10 list, still has the most number of time zones within its jurisdiction. So let's get into it. The largest country in the world in terms of land area is Russia, and from the easternmost point to the westernmost point it roughly extends to about 9,000 kilometers. Russia has officially 11 time zones, and next up in the list is Canada, which again from the easternmost point to the westernmost point has a width of 7,560 kilometers. Canada has 6 time zones. Next up we have the People's Republic of China, which again has an east-west width of 5,250 kilometers. Geographically it spans over 5 time zones, but it has only one official time zone, which is the Beijing time, and all of China follows this single time zone. Number 4 on the list is the United States of America, which has an east-west width of 4,662 kilometers. United States of America, along with its territories, has 9 time zones, but in the contiguous United States of America 4 time zones are followed: Eastern Time, Central Time, Mountain Time and Pacific Time. Next up we have Brazil, which has an east-west extent of 4,398 kilometers, and Brazil has 4 time zones. Number 6 is Australia with 4,000 kilometers of east-west width and 3 time zones. Next we have India, which has at the farthest point east-west width of 3,000 kilometers, but India follows only one official time zone, Indian Standard Time. However, according to a law passed in 1951, some industrial areas can follow their local times, which is followed in some tea gardens in Assam, which is 1 hour ahead of Indian Standard Time. This is also known as tea garden time or bagan time or chai bagan time. Number 8 on our list is Argentina, which has an east-west width of 1,420 kilometers, and Argentina only has one time zone. Kazakhstan geographically spans over 4 time zones because Kazakhstan has an east-west width of 2,930 kilometers. But Kazakhstan follows only a single time zone despite geographically spanning over 4 time zones. And the last country on our list is Algeria, which has an east-west width of 2,000 kilometers, but Algeria also follows a single time zone. So I just want to remind the viewers that the country with the most number of time zones is not on this list, but we will focus on the United States of America because you might be following United States of America media channels and you'll be hearing terms like Eastern Time, Central Time, Pacific Time. All these things should make sense to you, and we'll talk about it now. So in America 9 different time zones are followed. I'll just list the names. There is the Atlantic Time, Eastern Time, Central Time, Mountain Time, Pacific Time. You have the Hawaii Aleutian Time, you have the Alaska Time, American Samoa Time and Chamorro Time. But in the contiguous United States 4 different time zones are followed. Eastern Time measured out of New York, Central Time Chicago, Mountain Time Denver, Colorado and Pacific Time Los Angeles. Now Eastern Time is 5 hours behind UTC, whereas Central Time is 6 hours behind UTC, Mountain Time is 7 hours behind UTC, and Pacific Time is 8 hours behind UTC. Indian Standard Time is 5.5 hours ahead of UTC. But what is UTC? UTC is the term for Coordinated Universal Time. Don't ask me why UTC stands for Coordinated Universal Time, it just does. Earlier this was Greenwich Mean Time, which was measured in the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, which is close to London, and I have had the great fortune of visiting this place. The Royal Observatory in Greenwich measured the Greenwich Mean Time, and this was regarded as the global time standard. But the better measurement of time is the atomic clocks, which are used for measuring UTC, and now UTC is considered the global time standard. However, Greenwich Mean Time and UTC tell the exact same time, just that UTC has a better method of measuring the time. So with that out of the way, Indian Standard Time is 5.5 hours ahead of UTC, whereas the American times are behind UTC. So let's understand how you can convert Indian Standard Time to the various different time zones in the contiguous United States of America to better understand what time it is in different parts of America when you're following the news on American media channels, if you are interested in the outcome of the presidential elections in 2024 in the United States of America. You think about Eastern Time, which is 5 hours behind UTC, and you compare that with Indian Standard Time. So Indian Standard Time is 10.5 hours ahead of Eastern Time in the East Coast of the United States of America. And if you look at the Pacific Time, which is 8 hours behind UTC, then Indian Standard Time is 13.5 hours ahead of the Pacific. If you're from India and you want to understand what Pacific Time is, just subtract 13.5 hours from the local time in India. You'll understand what time it is in the west coast of America, or in Los Angeles, or in California, which follows Pacific Time. So you get the idea. Now, which country has the most number of time zones in the world? France. France has 12 different time zones. And why does such a relatively small country in terms of land area have so many time zones? Certainly France is no match to Russia when it comes to its east-west width, but Russia has 11 time zones and France has 12. How do you explain that? In one word: colonialism. I hope you liked this video on a brief geography of time, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, bye bye, and please don't forget to be awesome.